Hey guys, today here we have a 9-fight war with Nimrod, Doom, and Mags. Nimrod for 2 fights, Mags for 1, and Doom for the rest. So first off, we've got a Node 2 IW here. Really easy fight with Nimrod. There's the glancing to pay attention to. But yeah, you just want glancing down for your L2, and you want to get to 10 charges, and then throw your L2 with the Fury up, and it will end the fight. I did turn Sui's on for this. I was, a little bit nervous about this global. Just going into this fight, I really wasn't sure, how bad the exhaustions were going to be, all of that. So I decided to play it safe, turned on suicides, turned on power back, just to be, zero risk in a fight that's, new to me. So, yeah, ended up being very easy. Definitely wasn't necessary to do as much prep as I did, but always better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, here we have a Mordo on 11 with Dome. The tricky thing here is you can't parry stun, but it's not the big deal. You just get your openings through, intercepts or windows to just get combos as you normally would outside of parries. And Doom is very tanky, so if you miss intercepts or whatever, it's no big deal. And he has power control for Mordo, so yeah. I do end up getting a lag spike during this fight, and it was right when he threw his L2, so that was very dangerous. I did duels and reset before the fight, all the normal fight prep and everything. But yeah, you're gonna see right here, my phone just lagged out right there. Thankfully, it recovered quick enough that I didn't get hit by the L2, but my phone did lag there. It was very noticeable while playing, so yeah. But yeah, here we have an L3, and it looks like the ebb and flow nodes are bugged right now. Not for this fight. It didn't come up because I, didn't throw an L3 with protection up. But you'll see in my next 2 fights, in my next fight and then my next ebb and flow fight, that Doom's L3 is just doing full damage through the protection. I am not exactly sure why that's happening, but it is happening right now. So, yeah. Doesn't really matter that much, since, the ebb and flow doesn't generally matter much for Doom anyway. The fights are, very easy fights. But just something to note, it made these fights a little bit quicker than they otherwise would have been. And yeah, we have Mystic Powerbacks on for all of these fights. I took all of these fights in one go, except for the Invisible Woman. I had taken that earlier to start gaining some energy, so I wouldn't have to use as many refills. But yeah, Tigra here, really easy. You would like to avoid her L2. If it does get thrown, I am very good with the deck, so I'm not overly worried about it, but there is that to keep in mind. And yeah, here, we're just under our next L3. No big deal. We're not going to be able to get the heavy off before the L3, sadly, but again, the ebb and flow bug, this is where I finally noticed it. I'm like, okay, we're going to have to build up to another L3 after this, should be fine, but then this L3 is just like, oh. And that's when I realized, and yeah, fight's over. And then we just have a Peni on node 23 with Mags. Here, we're using a PS1 to speed this fight up a little bit, and we get to our L3, and the L3 will end the fight. Pretty simple, just standard Mags fight versus Peni. I am watching out for the root, just being careful with that. But it doesn't matter too much because, yeah, it's Mags, so it's a very easy fight. We are going to try and avoid baiting special ones so we don't get power burnt. There's still a chance to get power burned, it just doesn't matter too much with Mags. So yeah, that's the basic fight plan. Yeah, not much to say here. Here, we're just being cautious with this all, and yeah. Here we get a L2 bait, and that's nice. And yeah, not much I can really say about this fight. We charged the heavy into the L3, and yeah, fight is effectively over at this point. So, yeah. Don't really know what else I can say about this. It's a Mags fight. Goes as you would expect a Mags fight to go. And yeah, next up is iDoom on this Power Snack, Power Sting node. The basic idea from this placement is to just be like, okay, you can't use Hulkling for this fight, and it's going to be a little bit annoying if you decide to use Corvus for this fight. So that's the basic idea here with this placement. It's not a particularly hard fight, but I understand the placement to an extent. We do have a Petrify here. We just had an extra Petrify, so we popped on to this fight, since we didn't really have anywhere else to use it. And yeah, Power Snack does feed MD power, so after I bait this and dex the L2, I will be at my L3, and I'll be in a good position after that Power Sting falls off. And yeah, at this point, I have basically won the fight. It would be pretty hard to mess up anything else. So yeah, we do have to worry about the armor coming back up and waiting to throw our L2, though the armor is down. But again, that's very easy to do, so it's not a big deal. And yeah, here we nullify that armor, and we have our L3, our L2, and the fight is just over now. We're going to stagger just to make sure we get rid of that regen, throw another L2, we eat some power sting damage, no big deal, just want the fight over. And yeah, next up we have a Sauron. This is just build to an L2 with Nimrod and throw it. We're going to go to our orange phase to remove the prowess and everything, blah blah blah, you know the deal, it's Nimrod. It's a very quick fight. We have a Power Star 1 on here from the iDoom. So, yeah. Not much I can really say about this fight again. Just gonna get that L2 and end the fight. And as you can see, that fight is over just like that. Next up, we have a Chavez on 38 with Doom. This is probably my hardest fight this war. Definitely not the best of counters to this. But we do have a Petrify pre-fight that helps make it a little bit easier. And yeah, here we get the bug where someone enters the fight and then exits the fight, but it shows that they're still in the fight on your screen for whatever reason. A little bit annoying, but no big deal. Just gonna take some time and I'll stop recording in just a second here. And yeah. Here, I had to reboost because of that bug, but no big deal. We were gonna have to reboost anyway. Chavez, again, he starts with a heavy. That's Chavez doing Chavez things. The main thing to note here is you want to try and dex the specials. This is just because the prowess node makes it so it's much better to dex the specials and give that MD power than to give the prowess. It's definitely much safer. It allows slightly less control of the fight, but it means if you do end up in a bad situation that it won't punish you nearly as much, so I definitely think that's a safer way to play this fight. And yeah, we want to wait the purple phase out before we go to our L3. And this is just so that my L3 will not be affected by Chavez's power gain reduction, and this means we can just end the fight very easily at this point, since it fell off, thankfully. And yeah, very clean fight. Definitely a fight that has the most danger this war, but it's certainly not a fight I'm overly worried about taking. And yeah, this L2 does a bunch of damage. We don't get any crits, unfortunately, but it does not matter all that much. And yeah, fight's over with this special. Yep, there we go. Okay, she has some energy resist, so that's why it was taking a little bit longer, but no big deal. And yeah, then we have the Sersi with Doom again. Yeah, this is another part of the ebb and flow bug where the protection is just not working, so I just went for normal L3 cycle with Doom. Well, not normal L3 cycle, but normal power back L3 cycle with Doom. Keep the staggers up for those glancing buffs. And yeah, that's really all we have to worry about here. We're trying to bait no one. She's not playing ball, so I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'll just go into my L3. And yeah, get this stagger up before the L3, and then we're pretty much smooth sailing at this point. It's a fairly simple fight. I believe I ended up throwing either 2 or 3 L3s, and that ended the fight. Yeah, it was 3 L3s for this fight to end. So not super quick, but definitely super easy, so yeah. get another Stagger up, and that means we're good to go for the next cycle. Basically, just keep doing this thing. And yeah, it's a very simple fight with Doom. You know, there's some tricks to it, but it's really hard for it to go wrong, so yeah. And here, since we got so much damage from that, we don't even have to worry, and we just get immediately back to a special 3. Yeah, for our next fight, we have a Terrax on node 48. Now, for Terrax, the main thing to note with this is that we are running 3 out of 3 Petrify, and what this will do is it will allow me to do parry heavy, and due to the stuns, I will give him a lot less power. And that combined with the suppression pre-fight ends up with Terrax getting very, very little power. And yeah, I'll get some extra MD power from the nodes and everything. And we have a Petrifying DOT Siphon here as well to just help make it even easier. You really only need the suppression and the Petrify Mastery, and of course the Mystic Power Backs. But the other stuff is nice to have since we had a bunch of extra pre-fights. And yeah, this fight goes very smoothly. I believe it takes just a little bit over a minute to end the fight. And yeah, the strategy remains the same for this entire fight, so I'll just stop talking about this. Anyway, thank you guys to my Patreon supporters, Mega and Senor Dunny. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, hopefully getting back into making more content now that all the holiday season is done. Yeah, looking forward to this, and yeah, that is all for this war. Have a good night.